Gonna show you why. They just put all those up over there.
Breaking news, these new 5G Death Tower networks are going to be worse than living in a microwave oven. You saw some 15 milliwatts per meter squared on this tri-field meter. And as this victim approaches the window, he's getting dosed. And it just goes off the scales, way beyond the microwave oven, and he's not even outside. Imagine these poor sheeple walking on the street, oblivious, on their phones, no less. 1 in 3 men out there will die of cancer thanks to these 5G death towers. Those numbers are going to double, ladies and gentlemen, and it's only going to get worse. You can't imagine the genocide that's coming thanks to this death tower network. Look at this power supply. Look at these amplifiers, basically connected to this giant cantina. And it's amazing. People are going to be watching these things go up from their bedroom window. They're going to be across the street from everybody. And it's going to bring misery and mayhem, to say the least. These new and improved death towers are going to be at your shopping centers, your grocery stores, your schools, right across the street from you, no escape. And that's the plan. Ladies and gentlemen, no escaping these death towers, no escaping the eugenics program. Everybody should be horrified by the prospects of seeing one of these death trees, death towers, death pods from your bedroom window, on your way to work. It's just not necessary. These things have a range of up to 250 miles in some cases. 5 miles for these little death pods that they're putting up everywhere. And of course, since they can only put one carrier on a death pod, they're going to be, putting 2 or 3, of these poles clustered together. And I mean, it's just going to be a nightmare. You can't even imagine how bad you're going to get dosed every day thanks to this beast system in this upside down world, where good is evil and evil is good out there. And of course, the situation is only going to get worse. The legal limits are far beyond what scientists recommend as safe. Legal does not mean safe, ladies and gentlemen. It's just, some kind of guidelines put out there by the industry to make it appear safe. But the scientific evidence is quite clear. Even non-ionizing radiation causes mutations in the DNA. That was proven back in the 70s. And of course, they're trying to bury these studies. They're trying to make people, believe that these death towers are safe. But you can tell by the proximity of these towers to people that they're out to get you, because they have a huge range. These aren't like toy walkie-talkies, that are good for only like a mile or so. These are, professional grade terminators, death pods in your community, blasting away at you non-stop. It's outrageous, ladies and gentlemen. And if people really understood the dangers of these death towers, they'd be out there, taking them down themselves. But instead, the sheeple are just watching television, worried about the politics, worried about, the days of our lives soap opera that's unfolding before our very eyes. But while people are distracted, and that's really the word here, distracted, they're gearing up to roll out their Skynet, to roll out their automation, to roll out the Robocops and the Terminators. And the end game here is to plug you into the Matrix with the brain chip, so that you can just be locked in, your body as the AI is in control. This is a very scary prospect for humanity. And people are just, idly driving by these death towers, somewhat concerned, somewhat suspicious about what's going on, but obviously not suspicious enough. I mean, even like, a microwave oven, right, which is nothing compared to these death towers, puts out quite a bit of energy. And, this may not be ionizing radiation. This may not be, plutonium. But this shit will cut through you like a hot knife through butter. And it will cause all sorts of damage along its way. Don't think just because, it's a microwave oven that it's safe. And don't think just because, these death towers are called cell towers that they're safe. I mean, we've seen the cancer clusters. We've seen the damage in their wake. And to think that people are just selling out and, saying that, oh, yeah, this is wonderful and we just can't wait, to have 2 or 3 of them in our neighborhoods. I mean, obviously they're getting paid, and that's that. Everybody else is really concerned. Now, there was a big win in California in the Supreme Court over there, which said that cities can start dictating, where towers go based on aesthetics and even health concerns. So for the first time, we actually have something that rules in opposition of the FCC guidelines. Just some bureaucracy. They don't even have an MD anywhere in their department, literally. And these people are just, writing shit up willy-nilly style, because they're getting paid to do so. And people need to wake up to these bureaucrats that are just selling you out and rolling out this death trap that's worse than living in a fucking microwave oven. Pardon my language here, but I think everybody should get a little outraged when they see, the readings for themselves. And they can call it safe. They can call living in a microwave oven safe. Let's put them there and see how long they last. They think it's so safe. Let's just put these FCC people in the microwave oven and see how long they think it's safe. Because obviously the readings here are not safe. And if they just went out and tested this stuff for themselves and compared it to a microwave oven, then maybe they would think twice about, rolling this shit out in everybody's neighborhood, on top of elementary schools, at your shopping center, at your gas stations, wherever you go. I mean, it's like these people are out to get you, ladies and gentlemen, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that, in fact, they are out to get you. They're mandating like 100 different vaccines now. They allow all sorts of chemicals in the water that are way above safe limits according to scientists. And it's just like everything else, the pesticides way above recommended safe levels, but they're legal because their scientists haven't found any reason to make it illegal. So, depending on where your paycheck is coming from, you'd be surprised, what you're willing to say. And that's exactly what these people are doing on television. And, there's a million different examples when it comes to how untrustworthy these people are. And if you are following the politics, if you are following the Days of Our Lives out there, you can see how biased and unfair these people are when it comes to their politics, their ideology. And what you need to understand is that the same people that are planting evidence in secret courts and arresting journalists and the like, these people are also in this cult of death that really wants to exterminate people. And it's right there on the Georgia Guidestones. They want to eliminate 95% of the people out there. It's their religion. And if you pay attention to the television, you'll notice, the anti-Christian ideology there nonstop. It's the promotion of the 7 deadly sins nonstop. And, they just basically try to discriminate against Christians and normal people out there non-stop. If you're not part of the Sodom and Gomorrah crowd that's, grooming and raping children, then you're obviously an enemy of the state. And, whatever they're up to out there, whether it's just simple homicide or something more nefarious, people should be concerned. But there truly is, reason to think that these people are part of this huge cult. Everybody's seen the Bohemian Grove videos. Everybody's seen the Pyramid on the back of the dollar bill. Everybody's seen, the Luciferian Grammy Awards, halftime shows, etc. I mean, these people are on something. They're on the spice. You know what I mean? And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this stuff out. And that's why people should be doubly concerned. Not only do these death towers look diabolical, but you got all these people basically worshiping the devil, and they want to tell you everything is just safe. Who's going to buy that for real? And that's why they're censoring everybody. They're like, oh yeah, I mean, when you look at it that way, it sure does, make a whole lot of sense. So let's just silence these people. That way, we can continue on with our delusion and the like. And that's exactly what the television is. It's delusional. Look at this power supply. These death towers are weaponized to zap the shit out of you. And, there's no telling what kind of damage these things will do once they're set on high, And undoubtedly, that's the point of these death towers and this power supply. I mean, this is enough to cook, an entire city. One of these death towers is basically equivalent to an atomic bomb. The energy that it can put out. I mean, if this thing was on high, right? I mean, it would just wipe out an entire city. And that's the point. You see a microwave, what it can do, and it's just plugged into your wall socket. Look at this thing. I mean, it's taken like the full, 60,000 kilovolt line or even higher, plus amplifiers. They're jumping this stuff up. There's no telling what these things can do once they flip the switch. Everybody should be looking at these things sideways and not just, embracing them like, ooh, my internet's going to be 10 times faster than it was before. If it's going to be 10 times faster, they must be, increasing the juice out there at least by 10. And in fact, what we're finding out is that they're increasing the juice by 1,000 times. 5G is going to be 1,000 times more toxic than 4G. Does that sound, like something you want to get into? Does that sound like something that you want to support? Well, then don't get one of those, 5G phones. Don't get a 5G plan. You know what I mean? But undoubtedly after the 5G, it's going to be the 6G, and it's going to be even more and more and more. And it won't be until like 20 or 30 years before people realize how deadly these things are. They'll cover up the clusters. They'll basically fake the autopsy reports like the Epstein case or whatever, and just say, natural causes, suicide when Hillary did it. And that's just standard operating procedure for these people. But I think people should really be on the lookout for these death towers in their towns, especially at shopping centers. I mean, why do they need, a huge fucking death tower right there at your shopping center when it could be like 2 or 3 blocks away? Why does it have to be like right in the center of where everybody goes? Because, distance is a huge factor when it comes to, this technology. And the closer you are to these death towers, the more you're getting dosed. And, and so they just basically, put the soda machine, right next to the death tower. And they're like, yeah, come get your free refill. Oh yeah. You're for sure getting filled every single time. And, what's worse is, basically, them putting this like right on top of an elementary school. How many cases, how many stories have we seen, across the nation where, they're putting them up at the elementary school, at the middle school, at the high school. It's like, really? You need to put this stuff like right there where all the kids go. And, thankfully we all, didn't have to deal with that, right? As youngsters, we didn't have to deal with the 100 different, vaccines and the like. Not to mention, all of the other garbage that's out there these days, whether it be the meth or the, fentanyl or whatever. I think people are extremely lucky, having grown up in the pre-9/11 world. And thinking about that, most people out there today, or at least 1 in 3 people out there today, never even knew the pre-9/11 world. They never really knew America. They were born into this Orwellian prison, surrounded by death towers, with mandated vaccines, with full-time propaganda on television. And, there's no democracy out there. It's a selection, not an election. and these people are pre-selected, and no matter who you vote for, they're rolling out the death towers. No matter who you vote for, they're, mandating the vaccines. No matter who you vote for, I mean, they're grooming your kids in school. No matter who you vote for out there, these people are out to get you. And it doesn't matter what they say, at the end of the day, they're not on your side. And, you may not like that. It's like when, somebody told you that wrestling was fake for the first time. You're like, what, Hulk Hogan? What, he's an actor? No. Yeah, bitches. That's the way it is. All these people, the Cheeto president included, are actors. I'm sorry to say. And I don't mean to be mean. Look, I mean, this is just the way politics is. Everybody seems to roast everybody out there. And, the better the roast, the more noise it tends to make. But whatever. This isn't about, who's the best comedian out there. This is about, the science. This is about the threat. This is about the strategy. This is about what we're up against, which is literally the purest definition of evil that you can imagine. Pure darkness. That's what these people are into. That's what came out in the WikiLeaks. That's what's come out in the subsequent investigations. And that's why, now it's come to mass censorship, imprisonment of journalists and the like. I mean, it's so not America. It's scary. And to think that these people are just going to come, on television and pretend like none of this is happening and just feed you the same old fluoride, pump you full of the same old vaccines, I think it's rather insulting. And the question is, how long are people going to sit there and basically grab their ankles and take it without even the Astroglide? I mean, people are getting royally, raped right now by these death towers, by these eugenics programs. And it's like, how long, is this going to go on? How much worse is it going to get? And I think people should really kind of, brush up on their history and look at, what happened to people during World War II. And, throughout the entire, transition from being free to people ending up in a gas chamber. I mean, people just thought everything's going to be okay. No matter how bad or weird or, shady it got, people were always hyper normalizing it and being like, oh, this will be okay. And, what these people are, masterful at is making you think you're just making a phone call. You're just taking a shower. You're just doing your laundry, and what's actually going on is, you're getting dosed. And, it's history repeating itself again. It literally is, National Socialists in charge, spreading their New World Order occult ideology everywhere, brainwashing people, exterminating people, causing endless wars and the like. It's the same old song and dance. People, this tune out there. And, we keep, talking about it. But, you just have to wonder, what's it going to take? Do you really have to be sitting on the lawn in front of a giant gas chamber before you really understand what's going on? And even then, the people didn't know for the most part. They thought they were just taking a shower. And most of the sheeple out there think, they're just going to the restaurant. They're just going to the mall. They're just making a call. Most people out there don't even understand what happens when they flip a light switch, let alone, how these, networks work. And, stupidity will be our downfall, as a nation, as a people, as a species. Because obviously, this group, these cult members, are out to exterminate and assimilate mankind. And it's not a joke. I mean, I think people really need to step back and take in and wrap their minds around what that actually means. And you think somehow people must think that's not going to happen. But as soon as, the robots start taking the jobs, people will have to compete with the AI, just to get a job. And that means, getting the brain chip. That means, getting augmented. That means plugging into the matrix. And, that's when, the AI will be fully in control. Look, it's just a matter of time, ladies and gentlemen, and this really is our best chance for a last stand. And people might ask themselves, well, what can you do? What can you do to stop what's coming out there? And I think first and foremost, people really need to exhaust all democratic possibilities. Go to your city council, start an action group or whatever in your town, organize protests and the like, and get these towers taken down, litigate and the like. Again, there's a huge California Supreme Court ruling that just came out. I think we posted that on our Twitter feed, and it says cities have the right, even for health reasons now. And I think people should be able to file lawsuits in their states, in their cities, based on that ruling, and just basically copy and paste, everything that's in there. Go follow that brief and just copy and paste it and file the paperwork yourself at the clerk of courts. It'll probably cost you $25, and and start the process. Get the news involved, get people involved, start a group, start a network, and start with the 5G. I mean, this is really going to be the backbone of their extermination program. They're going to need it for their Terminators and for their slaughter bots and the like. And without the 5G, then they're basically censored. They're basically silenced. And people need to focus on this more than just about anything right now. You can't really do much about the chemtrails. You can't really do a whole lot about the vaccines right now, because they bring you into these centers. But these death towers are just soft, they're just soft, issues out there. And I think people eventually will see this as an assault. And look, nobody likes the idea of civil disobedience out there. I think that ultimately people will do what they feel is necessary to survive. But the science is clear, and the physics is crystal clear. These death towers are raping you, and you can't even opt out. There's nowhere you can go. There's no escape, and they're not asking your permission. They're just dosing you. It's like the fluoride. It's like it's like the pesticides and everything. People really need to step up and fight back, push back, focus on these issues instead of talking about mindless fluff. Feel free to like and share this broadcast. Feel free to mirror and support our show. Help us reach more people at patreon.com/STF News. We're listener supported. We recommend getting a meter, understanding what the EMF environment is around you, in your home, at your workplace, as well as places that you hang out. Limiting your dose is probably the most important thing that people can do right now. These death towers affect your immune system. They affect your nervous system, and they're at the root cause of the cocktail effects that are hitting people hard out there. We'll leave it there for this broadcast. Be sure to check out the archives. Till the next time, if you're listening to this, you are the resistance.